This radio is a Wien 25, as we can see. Now, Wien, I believe, was a German manufacturer. In fact, I think I may even have had one of these radios at one stage when I was young, but I remember something similar to this, but I can't find anything out about the manufacturer searching around the internet, which is rare to find nothing or almost nothing about them. And I've seen a few of them around for sale, but I found this one quite interesting. It's not in bad nick, because it's a nice sort of leatherette mustard finish. Unfortunately, the telescopic aerial has seen better days. It looks completely fallen apart. You can pull it out a bit, but then you can't move the handle. It's got three-way bands, medium wave, long wave, FM, and an automatic frequency control, and a little bit wobbly. Let's have a look inside at the back. And it opens up to reveal a battery box here, which seems to take 4 C cells, and then I was wondering if it gives us anything here on. Oh, it was made in Hong Kong, but I think that's not unusual for European manufacturers to be making things in Hong Kong. I'm guessing it's sort of 1970s. Let's have a look. So yeah, it's got radio 3, radio 1, so it wouldn't be 60s. It doesn't have home, third and light and things like that. So yeah, I think put some batteries in as usual and see what happens. Right, well, the batteries are in, so let's see what we get. Absolutely nothing. Not even a click. So we're going to have to get it apart. Okay, these batteries are quite tight, so I'm going to try not removing them at the moment. How we get it apart, I'm not sure. I can see, yeah, there's screws in these holes here, so I think that back should lift off if we undo those. So let's try that as a opening gambit. I guess that plastic cover off. And we can see the circuit board. And it's, as it says, it's a twin speaker model. Why they decided to put twin speakers in, I'm not sure, when it's not a stereo unit. So it doesn't look as if there's much obviously wrong. That feed presumably is to the switch there. So that must be the power. The other end seems to go down into the board, so I suppose the first thing to do would be to measure if power is actually getting to anywhere. So I've got the chassis out now, and it's negative earth, positive earth, like a lot of these radios are. So all the positive comes in here. You can see that wire there is connected. Let's move you around a bit. You can see that wire there is connected onto this ground plane type thing. And then the other side, the black wire, then transfers to a red wire, which goes through here. And I think that is the wire that, let's see, that goes through this side. And where does it go? Underneath, back there again, in that little tube, and turns up on this side of the switch. So that one is the negative. So anyway, here I get, although it's red, so here I get 6 volts again. Just move that round a little bit so you can see it. That should therefore be going to this side, and again I've got 6 volts there. When I turn it on, well, that's interesting. I've got 6 volts here, and I turn that on. Oh no, it's okay. No, it drops. Look how far it goes down. So something's shorting out, I think, is the answer to that. And it's okay there. Maybe that's because I've got something on the back of it like that. Maybe that'd be better if I didn't. Yes, I've still got 6 volts here. So where does it go afterwards is the next question. It seems to have a sort of turquoise wire coming off that one, which goes back over here and on to this point. So that's there. I have no circuit diagrams for any of this, so I'm pretty much flying blind. So what's that? What's on the other side of that? So the transistor there, I can see. So there's an electrolytic, which I'm guessing is a reservoir capacitor across the whole thing. So maybe I wouldn't expect that to be the problem in this case, because if it was, it would just short the whole thing out and we're still getting volts. So I don't think that electrolytic is likely to be the problem. So I think this is definitely an audio problem. If I move this around a bit, I can hear very little output when I think some, but not much when I touch my fingers on things here, and I should be hearing loads. Other thing is, if I stick a probe around here on the RF side, oops, not exactly easy working environment, but I'm going to stick a probe around here on the RF side and see if I get some RF anywhere, just in random places. So I've got it on medium wave. Oh, there we go. So I've got it on medium wave at the moment, and you can see that I can pick up RF there. So I reckon the radio bit is working, and it's just the audio side around here that's the problem. Okay, so around what I think is the detector area, I can see some signal. So that's not getting through to the audio somewhere. So I wonder if this is where I'm looking around. It's around, there's a transistor here. So I wonder if that transistor has somehow gone wrong. Because I can see it very close to that transistor and then nothing around it. I'm not hearing anything after it. So I wonder if it's there. Right, well, it's working again. It wasn't down to this transistor as I thought it was. I then moved on tracing things around until I got to this, which I think is a sort of audio driver transistor stage here. And I did get a rectified signal around the detector diode, which I now can't see, but I didn't get anything coming out of here. And I thought maybe it's one of these transistors. It wasn't either of those, actually. There's a couple of electrolytic capacitors here. Obviously, those are the new replacement ones. One of those was faulty and the other one wasn't, so I replaced them both, and another one of the same type. Now, it's a very interesting type of capacitor because there's no markings on it at all. It doesn't tell you what value it is. It doesn't tell you what rating it is, although obviously it would be pretty clear what the rating would be in a 6-volt radio. It doesn't even tell you which is a positive and which is a negative side. What were they thinking? Were they thinking this will make it harder for non-Wien staff to service their radios if you just scrubbed off all the component descriptions? Unbelievable. And of course, I don't know what value it was, but fortunately, because one of them was working and they looked very similar, I'd made a sort of guess that from the time that this will be about 4.7 microfarads, and indeed it was. The other one I wasn't sure at all. It's slightly wider than that one, so I used a 10 microfarad. Seems to work. These things aren't usually that critical, but I did find it quite interesting. But that wasn't the only issue. So the other thing was this volume control come on and off switch. Well, the on and off switch was quite intermittent, which I think I had an idea of to start with. That wasn't, I thought it might be the original whole fault, and obviously it wasn't. But also, even with the capacitors replaced, there was no control from this of the volume. So this was stuffed in more than one way. I did have one remaining volume control with an on and off switch in my stock. So I have to get some more now. It's a bit bigger than that one, so it needed a bit of different wiring. In fact, I did a bit of rewiring with a point-to-point, as I often do. And that's got it working again. So let's see if we can have a listen to it. Oh yeah, one more thing I ought to mention. The aerial, I couldn't find an aerial that fitted it that I had in my stock. And it's very difficult to find anything other than one standard make of telescopic aerial now. But I did work out that if you put a M3.5 screw in the end here, it fitted perfectly and allows you to lift and shift the aerial again now. So that's good news, although it's not quite long enough. There's some sections of it have disappeared, but it's functional in a way. So let's see if we can hear it.
On the 24th, and then I'm in Peterborough. Of course, I live in Peterborough now. So I'm a local boy, darling.
I did not know that. You should pop in for a cup of tea at some point.
I know. I moved from Hampshire a couple of months ago. Yeah, I moved to Peterborough. So it's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Also, usually interesting conversations on local radio. I almost fell asleep during that one, and it was only about 10 seconds. What I have to say about the sound of it is it isn't particularly good. It's a bit tinny, and why they advertise it as dual speaker, as if that was supposed to give it some extra oomph. Well, it hasn't got any oomph, and I think they'd have been better off fitting a bigger single speaker. Overall, I do like the look of this radio, which is why I bought it, but I'm not that impressed with the sound. I do like the build as well, and it's good that we were able to fix it. It's cleaned up reasonably well. I need to do something else, some discolored paint or something that's got on there. So there's a little bit of extra cleanup needed. Maybe I'll see if I can find a better aerial for it, but to be honest, even if you got better aerial, it wouldn't improve the sound quality. But I think the fact that I had some familiarity with it, and I'm sure I saw in our house a radio similar to this when I was young. I know very little about it. I still don't know very much about it. It's probably quite rare. So I thought it was something interesting to do, and repairing it without any documentation is always an achievement. So yeah, it was worth doing.